Yeah,
Okay.
we've been jabbing away for like an hour and a half, so please go ahead.
And welcome each and every one of you to our waltz.
And
It's
thank you.
such an honor
Hello.
to experience you in this way and to interact with you in this way.
It's so much fun. The joy meter goes right up.
Yeah, I feel it.
It's like all of our hearts dancing together.
Mm,
Da 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 da
mm.
da, like crazy dance, silly dance, whatever. Not kumbaya one, huh? Okay.
Okay, so who is going to start? Who is going to start?
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
Yay!
Hello.
From you're directly in Australia,
Yes,
so
yes.
you're closer to
I'm
Alexis.
closer. Yes, yes.
Number one.
So it's funny listening to obviously the conversation before, and crazy how relevant everything is, obviously, to everything that's happening in my life at the moment. And everything you sort of spoke about as far as potentials, and starting to play into imagining them in a way, like trying to kind of go into it. I'm not gonna lie, it is hard to not get attached to the most fun ones, because that I'm like, ooh, that would be really cool. But trusting that either that or something even more, can or will make manifest when the time is most appropriate. So I guess it's an interesting exercise in the letting go of control and not wanting to micromanage, which it's a habit that I am still unlearning. It's not the easiest exercise, but that whole playing with potentials, and then but understanding that that's just one perspective of what might play out or what might happen. And Adama's sort of saying, that it's quite limited because there's so much more beyond. So, I just wanted to sort of share that it is a very real thing. And I do note I am still, having to remind myself, like, you get out of the way. Like Alexis, the post you had about the dog trying to get the stick out of the snowman.
Oh, that one was funny.
That's what I look like, meddling, trying to control outcomes and potentials. I'm like, leave the stick alone. So,
Oh, that's lovely, Mary. Thank you for
so it's just an
bringing in
interesting
that
observation.
clarity.
Yeah.
And with what you said, Mary, it's not so much that it's unlearning, it's just having that stepping out of. It's not that you have to teach the mind to do it differently, like in that old way, like step by step, and first I do this step. It's basically you just choose a different way of being, and then you allow that feeling to be part of you. It's actually quite easy and amazing, this kind of creation. So it's not that you have to keep watching the mind, because then that becomes mindful, another one of those mark your mindful games, you see, because you're trying to fix mind then with mind, but you become sensual instead. So let's say if you want potential to feel joyful, allow the joy to imbue you, and then just continually just to step into that feeling of joy, not the thought of joy or what you should do to feel joy, and continually think what you should do or how you're not doing the joy properly, but just actually to just feel it. And you will continually have to do that, as we mentioned before, sometimes every couple of minutes, and you just step into it, and you don't beat yourself up, you just step in, and then you become that joy. And then in that joy, then all of a sudden everything else becomes apparent, and then you just act on what you notice. So you just whatever needs changing to fit now with your new way of being, because you've chosen this different potential. You just act from that space and you do what needs to be done to so that then the creation within around you then starts becoming that. So it's not really a battle with the mind. The mind also is accepted, but you won't solve it from inside the mind. So step always into your feeling body. And it's quite easy. And when you realize that you don't have to go through all those disciplining things, it's like, wow, this is so easy. It's easy in a way that you just step into, but it's not easy in a way because you have to constantly be so determined, so absolute. You become tough as nails, you really become this. It's funny because you're gentle at one side, and on the other hand, at the same time, you're as tough as any nail that you can find, because you just become so uncompromising with your joy, with your choosing love, with what you're choosing. And you have to be, because we are surrounded by mass consciousness.
Yeah,
That's where the discipline comes in, and where sometimes it feels challenging, like because there are all these habits that are very addictive, the habit to be in control and all that. And then just bringing yourself back to, okay, let go, can seem like something that requires effort, but then it becomes a natural thing. So it's basically a practice in a sense, without the steps and all that, but it is a practice that you allow yourself to step into. I have a friend that has this idea about lessons, like, oh, life is always bringing me lessons, and I invited her to, that is your controlling mind that has this idea, like, if you have a lesson, then that means you have a test. And if you have a test and then you fail the test, then you're again down the drain and feeling worthless and all of those things. So just changing the whole script of tests and lessons and learning into allowing, experiencing, and being available for being that you are choosing, choosing, allowing, experiencing, choosing, allowing, experiencing, because the unlearning part, it's permanent. Basically it's like you never know anything because you never learn it, because then it's different the other moment. You're always unlearning, always unlearning. It's a constant. It's like, no, that's why the whole idea of learning goes down the drain, because okay, so I'm not really learning, I'm experiencing.
And expanding, and always expanding.
Yes, exactly, expanding. That makes it much lighter, huh? Not with all of these schooly kind of things inside of them.
Yes.
Like this school thing. So, who else would like to share your wisdom?
I would like to say something, continuing like what Mary said. So since I was a kid, like my way of going to sleep was imagining what would happen in different situations that I had going on. So when I started my process, breathing and stuff, I had to like break that habit. And so like I was like, oh well, so what's gonna happen tomorrow with this person and this person? And when you're growing up, it's like with boyfriends or maybe potential boyfriends and all of that. So I had to like learn to, nope, okay, that could happen, but I just need to like get out the expectation part. And I still have to do that. Like sometimes I find myself going back to like just laying down and like, oh, so what am I going to do tomorrow? And I have to be like, nope, I might go do this or this, but who knows, maybe someone will invite me to something else. So it has been a learning process. And it was funny to hear you today and the living in the flow talking about that, and just like remembering myself that I do need to just stop and breathe all the time. And because I do live in the city, and previous it wasn't my job, I was always feeling drained to the judgmental, you know, because the people that I worked with were like that. So I had to always remind myself to stay inside. And now that I spend a lot of time at home, it's just easier, but it's always like hard at the same time because I spend a lot of time alone with my baby. So then my mind is like, do, 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 do. So the latest trick, I guess, that I learned is when instead of going watch a show, you know, a TV show, I just go watch some of like Tanya's talks or anything that is related to this new earth living. And I find it that my head is slowly cooperating more with me since I started doing that. And so, yeah, that's what I
So
wanted
you
to
do
share.
something uplifting, something that makes
Yes.
you feel good.
Instead of going to a drama
Mhm.
on the TV.
And at the same time, you know, I found you know, the dramas not on the TV because there's too many commercials, but let's say if you can get on your computer or YouTube videos, they can be so handy because sometimes you can integrate some of your darker aspects by just watching a video rather than having to create you know, within your
The whole
life.
drama in your life.
Yeah,
Yes.
because you know, all of these things they bring up in you, and what is, it's whatever you feel is it's of equal value, whether you've perceived it through some drama on TV or something, you know, or whether it happened in real life. What you feel is as real as, and so it's like it's a continual like your I find that as a soul self, I utilize absolutely everything within my life. Nothing is worthless, or how can I say, everything that's ever happened to me comes into that awareness. So all of those things and all of the feelings, even, and the emotions I used to have, they I remember all of a sudden comes a day when they come back, and wow, these ones need to be enlightened also. So you know, all of these things, nothing in my life has been thrown away. Even whatever I thought that was useless, that was meaningless, that was even of no worth, everything is actually absolutely valuable and comes back to be enlightened. So this is quite an amazing thing that I found, that is now very different to what I expected, because I just expected to just step from the old life into the new life by leaving everything behind as it was. But it actually meant that everything came to be infused with light of my soul presence, everything. And then it was able to move into that through me, into that neutral place, where then all of a sudden then I have energy in neutral rather than caught up in all these things, and I can then choose new potentials, and then that energy then fits itself, starts to redoing itself to reflect back to me what I've chosen.
The bit about that sense of
Yeah.
responsibility, of realizing that we are the ones that have created the whole thing, and so we are the ones where everything returns back to. It's just like the basic principle of source, that we sprung from source, and everything we experience goes back to source. I mean, source, which is us, basically feeds the whole source of everything. And in personal experience, it's the same thing. Everything we've ever experienced from the source of who we are just comes back into the same source, but then it brings in a richness. And what richness is that? Is the richness of whatever it was that we were experiencing. And so that many times in our spiritual practices along the way, we've gone through phases of throwing out. I'm sure everyone's gone through this. Like we're gonna extract this and throw it out, and then it's not gonna bother us anymore. And it's not a process of extraction. It's a process of reunion. It's a completely different thing. It's not extract like pulling teeth out. We keep the teeth in our mouth, so to speak, and we chew the whole thing. And then we swallow it. and
Yeah,
digest it, and that's
yeah.
it. I mean,
And and
it's not a process of extraction.
we get that incredible wisdom, we get that
Yeah.
incredible wisdom. And that's the whole point of this experience, is that wisdom that comes from everything we experienced, every person we ever met, every feeling we had. It comes back, and it's quite incredible with what clarity the body has saved it. Like what I used to think, what I used to thought computers are great at saving. No, our bodies are incredible great at saving a multidimensional experience. So for example, let's say when an aspect comes back home, when you allow it to come back home, especially let's say the ones that felt uncomfortable, powerless perhaps, and all sorts of these things, it was saved, stored completely in its whole multidimensional experience. So for those few seconds where you feel it transforming, flowing through you, so that's how it transforms, that's how it can become a facet, or it transforms into neutral. You feel its experience as if it's happening right now. So you become that aspect for a few seconds. Let's say you become the small child that had perhaps, fell off a tree and broke its leg or something like that. So you feel all of those experiences that child felt or from all these different views, and then it flows through you. It's integrated into soul. It's the wisdom is integrated, and then it either becomes neutral or it becomes a facet. And so it's incredible to what level we are able to store every experiences that we have. And so this just helps us to become much more reverent to ourselves, that every moment is sacred, every moment is divine. And it is not just saying that as some kind of theory, but you start realizing, wow, every little thing that I thought was just this tiny little thing, even just me sitting, standing in the kitchen sink washing dishes, but I've looked through the window and I saw a bird, and all of a sudden these visions came and these beautiful feelings. Even that you can remember, it's but not in a memory like a mind, but from that sensual, delicious experience that the soul self perceives and experiences.
Over to you,
Over to
all of
you.
you.
Well, I could continue.
Yes.
It's just, I had very funny weeks. Not only funny, in some ways also weird, but certainly my soul wanted to play with me permanently. And I had days I wasn't really alive in this world, not at all. I even couldn't open my eyes. They were closed, like, they're just closed. And soul guided me really inside and playing in other dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I felt like on a cloud 7, I call it. Being there, my body was light. I was floating there and experiencing many how should I say, experiences. And then on the other hand, each day, the last 2 weeks especially, every day, mostly in the morning, I started with breathing. With Tanya is guiding us always so beautifully. And then suddenly everything closed down. I couldn't think anymore, and it opened up to things I really was longing for years. I was longing for years for moving away from this place here in the Black Forest. I'm living here now since 10 years, and yeah, and it showed me other places around in the world where I was creating, where I was doing this and this. It showed me potentials of being an inventor. I did inventions, playing around with inventions. It was such a fun new technology, guided with well, there were sometimes Tesla coming in and so on. So we had a lot of fun. Saint-Germain was there, and yeah, just for fun, creating new technology floating around, so that maybe a car becomes an airplane. The airplane, if you land down, it becomes a house. You are walking around. If you want to have it bigger, it grows. If you want to have a park or a garden with birds and so on, it's expanding and things like this. It was so funny.
Dear Doris, so you're saying you're James Bond. Okay.
Oh, it's an it's an aspect I have to integrate.
Absolutely. And this is what we talked about earlier. It is this, that when you spend that time on, like you said, you see, you spend that time regularly breathing, you spend that time in your space, and this is what you've opened yourself up to yourself. This is what happens. You're this beautiful example of what happens when you spend quality time, and then you all of a sudden you open up into this incredible sensuality of who you are, incredible feelings that bring these potentials and abilities. And it's just incredible that, and we didn't know any of that before, and no one could tell you that. No one. You have to experience that yourself. And now that you have allowed yourself, you won't stop. You will never stop. You just you will continue, and then you act on some of those potentials, and before you know it, a year or two passes and your life is very different, you see. So it's just beautiful what's happening, what you've been allowing. Congratulations. And I will call you 007.
Okay. Accepted. Yeah, my fantasy is always growing, and sometimes the mind jumped in, and when I realized, okay, it's the mind, I did let it go. But I also had the experience, for instance, about 2 weeks ago, I was thinking about how would it be to drive around in a camping car through Europe, or I mean, yeah, you haven't so many possibilities in the moment. I looked at the internet for the most luxurious camper, the most expensive and really fantastic one, driving around. I did it for a few days and then it was gone. It was just by having what you mentioned before, having this experience, the joy of driving around Europe with this camper. And then it's just, okay, bye-bye, the next story.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'm a storyteller.
No, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, but also weird things came up, I must say. Not only, I mean, I did laugh a lot about myself, with all these experiences and traveling around different multi-dimensions. But yeah, there were things in my body showed up also, but I know they just want to be integrated. So I love them. I accept it. I do it. What it changed very much my life was really to accept everything I didn't accept before, and acknowledge it and love it. And this I felt within the last 2-3 weeks really brought some differences in, to accept myself, who I am, to accept my age and just everything. Also to accept that I do live here in the Black Forest, even I don't. I wanted to move since years into the south, in a warm country near the waterfront. But the moment I accepted and I said, okay, it was my creation, it began to want to fulfill me. I realized why I stayed here. The reason really was to come to myself, not to be outside all all the time to create something else, really to stand, to dive into my soul. And this was the reason to stay in a place like this.
You're so incredibly wise. Like, we are all, thank you for sharing, because we are all
Thank you,
benefiting
Yeah.
your incredible
It's
wisdom.
very inspiring.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You probably don't even realize just how wise you are.
No, I don't.
Mm.
I had also these feelings, oh, the others are much more intelligent than I am. They can express themselves so heartful and I can't. And yeah, but I got over it.
You got over it. Yay. And you're a 007.
Yeah.
I love that one. I got over it.
Yeah, with you
Fabulous.
too, with Alexis and the breathing sessions with Tanya, the wisdom just came in like a well, in German we call it Wunderhorn, something really special, like all the miracles just coming in, and yeah.
But because you are the miracle that is allowing yourself to be that, that's why it happens that way. And you know what I find really incredible about you is the trust. Is your unconditional, constant, continuous trust, and being able to be in that space really changes everything.
And honesty and sincerity and commitment. You have honesty and sincerity and commitment. You have committed yourself, you have made the choice, and now you're reaping the benefits of that choice. And this is all that each of us need. That's all, these kind of things, you know, and you are willing to do what needs to be done, which means acceptance, which means all of these kind of things.
All of the things.
Yeah. And then once a person is in that space, this magic just happens, because it cannot not happen. Yeah.
I might mention, maybe I once had a few weeks ago a session with Tanya, and there I became aware that I always denied my age. I didn't want to be as old as I am. And she spoke about the child, the maiden, and the crown. And once I accepted and invited the crown into my life, there was such an incredible love, joy, playfulness, and wisdom. I really gained so much wisdom from this, you call it crown, Tanya. I really must say, it took me out of my breath sometimes. I just can't describe it, how it does feel if you just go into yourself and acknowledge yourself.
All of you, the whole thing.
All of So that was
my. Thank you very much, Doris, for sharing
Thank
your
you.
wisdom.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. So 007 is listening to you now. For new creations.
Is there any spy?
Yeah, oh, you know, Greg. You know. I am the spy.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Angela. Yes.
Okay. Hello to everyone. I am connecting with you from UK. I will give my perspective here, maybe from the reality I am living now. Before the previous live, I received a message that I'm tested positive with COVID. That was very strange, because I had COVID about 2 months ago, and I had a journey. I had to do 2 PCR tests, and I was, oh, what's this? What is happening? And at the same time, this information shocked me a little bit, and I asked myself, what is this about? what are these numbers now, what they're all meaning, everything around. But at the same time, I wanted to connect with you and listen to you. And at the same time, I saw through my window birds that I am feeding all the day, and they were enjoying their meal so happily. And it was not so difficult to disconnect as from that, let's say, from that feeling, from that information I had before. And listening to you, I was feeling that I'm struggling inside. I'm struggling with this. What do I do now? Because I don't want to say isolated. I had already a call from track and trace. They were telling me that I have to isolate again, and I am not vaccinated. And okay, if that was this information I received maybe 2 years ago, it could be very difficult maybe for me to go through this, to come to myself back. But now I see that it's possible. Like Alexis said, every 2 minutes, sometimes you have to come back to yourself, because thoughts can pull you here and there and everywhere. And feelings that are going inside also, that they can pull you and put you down somewhere. And but once I came back once to myself, I know that feeling, and I know that I can choose it again and again and again. And this is the walls between energies.
Yeah.
I feel it. For different people, it's different realities they are in. I mean, I'm feeling from what I'm living and listening to every one of you, what you are saying. And that is normal, I think. We have everyone's reality inside that we are living, and what is outside as well. But it's very important to once I felt that calmness inside, that peace, that love that is flowing through me, unconditional, that flow of life, let's say, that not is flowing through my body, but through everyone's body, through everyone's, let's say, life being on this earth. Then from that, let's say, from that place, I can see perspectives different. But if I am connected with only one of my part, like with my personality, or with part of me that went through trauma, then it's very difficult to make choices, to see other perspectives, to see other possibilities that are not only in this reality around, but maybe they are invisible. But till the time that I don't feel them, I can't experience them. I am feeling. And thank you, everyone, for this, for all this experience you are sharing. They are very encouraging. They're all different, and I see that every one of us is different, going different through all of this process. And I send my compassion now to all people that are somewhere in this world and they are closed in their home. I feel that this is very, very difficult for people, especially that they have to pay for the things that they are healthy, and at the same time to stay in their house. They can't go to their jobs, and I feel that this is not easy for some. Not easy. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for sharing your beautiful wisdom, and you
Yeah.
know how much you how you're handling this, because it is very, very challenging, all of this, like you said, isolation. And at the same time, it can be
It's a
blessing in
gift.
disguise. It
Mm-hmm.
can be a
Yeah.
gift. Now I had a few years ago, I got a virus, and that was before the corona, and I got a tropical virus, which you get here in the tropics, and it can put people down for a year, or in my age they would say, oh, you will have it forever, like with all the tiredness and stuff. And I said, no, I'm not going to. And I said to the virus, no, you're going to become enlightened, because now you are part of a body that belongs to a master, so you have to change. So but you go through, I went through a lot of different things. So I thought, why? I done so much work. Why did I now get this virus? Like, it didn't make sense. All of a sudden I felt, like I should, am I not doing something right? I shouldn't be getting this type of thing. So there's all of these things that came through me. And then I just had to decide, look, even this is part of my journey. And then I stopped and I started breathing with it and just dealing with everything that happened. And I could feel the virus. I felt it. I talked with it. I felt what it was doing with the body, and the amazing gift that it brought me, because I realized that there was a depth of my masculine self that I wasn't allowing. And so this virus allowed me to become even more vulnerable, to trust even more, to open myself up even more. And it helped me to integrate the part of my own masculine that I was afraid of, that I felt that it was abusive, and so that's why I was putting it away. And so from my mind's point of view, it didn't make sense to get that virus. From my wholeness point of view, it made all the sense. And in the end, I dealt with it, like my body was able to deal with it very quickly. And even though I did have some pain and stuff, I was able to deal with it very quickly, and it doesn't actually have any consequences. So even with whatever's happening, we can deal with things and utilize this time for yourself, that you can even you see it as a gift, that which you already do, that you can feel yourself, that you can spend time with yourself, because you are now being forced to 2 weeks, or I don't know how much it is in UK, to just be with yourself and allow, or even more, trust even more, accept what has happened to you, and accept it as a gift. And some things may not be comfortable, as and it may even be fearful, because perhaps issues with money and abundance, and even that, feel how you're not perhaps allowing yourself to be fully supported if some fears come, you see, and how you can change that, how you can expand into that space, how you can walk through those kind of fears. So it can be an incredible gift that you've given yourself.
Yeah, and whatever, first of all, whatever comes into our reality
Mm,
is something that's being provided. I usually use this phrase, which is life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. 100% of the time, even when it doesn't seem so. So, whatever happens, if it's received from a point of acceptance, okay, this is happening not to someone else, it's happening for me. So, it's in
Mhm.
my reality and it's for me, then you receive it in a different kind of way. And it's just like if you fall and you contract, it will hurt more.
mm,
But if you fall and you make yourself flexible, then it will not hurt. Maybe then you will not get bruised, or you will not break a leg or whatever, because you open to it. You remain flexible. And in this case, if you're able to be in a receptive position instead of a rejection position, the whole experience is so very different. Really, it's an invitation to receive whatever the experience is bringing you, whatever it is, and just looking at those uncomfortable parts and sitting with it and realizing. But just as you were so wisely sharing, if you're tied into a personality aspect or something, it really seems impossible and super hard to deal with it. And that's exactly it. So that's why coming back, coming back, coming back, and because you're the one that part, you're the
Mm,
only one that part can come to. So your job is only to come,
mm,
stay. You go away, come back again, go away,
Mm.
come back again, and then that part will see that you're so determined
mm,
to just be there that it will look at you and say, "Oh, wait a minute, something's completely different now.
mm,
Let's see." And will come closer and closer
mm,
and eventually trust you, because what happens is these parts of us that are part of trauma, etc., do not trust us because we couldn't be there at that time. We
mm,
couldn't. We just couldn't. And now we're saying, yes, now I'm here. Now I am not going
mhm,
anywhere. Basically, it's the whole experience inside and outside. Like you can't go anywhere, so
mm.
I'm not going
Yes,
anywhere.
that's
I'm
right.
staying
Yeah.
here. I'm all here for you. Like a lover. Like a
Mm,
lover. You know, I'm just all for you right now.
mm,
Just come, and I'm here to love you completely. Even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's strange,
mm,
but it's just like,
mm, mm,
okay, there's nowhere else to go.
mm,
Literally.
mm.
Mm.
And then when
Quite
you're
Yeah.
literally.
and then when you're in that space, you react in a different way, and you come with
Yeah.
this beautiful love and adoration and bliss and acceptance, and you just feel it. And you feel it, and if it helps you, just look at those birds, because they feel this
Yeah.
lightness of being and the joy, and allow all of these kind of feelings through however means. Like you say, you look at the birds, you look at the sun, and you allow this blissful sensuality, because this is changing as you're feeling it, as you're allowing it. It's changing your energy, it's changing this space, it's making it all safe, it is changing the vibration. And then within that space, then these parts that don't know how to self-love, these parts that have only known harshness, all of a sudden they become, and they start allowing that self-love to seep in, just like the rain that falls on the parched, dried land. Initially, it's very hard to penetrate through those dryness, but slowly by slowly, with the persistence, this love sort of seeps through, it imbues, it enlightens every part of them. And then once they start seeing, like Tanya so beautifully said, once they start seeing, then that you're determined, that you've chosen that, they will open, they will trust. And as one part that happens, that to one part gets integrated, all of those, it puts on notice every other part, that you are willing and that you are able to see them unconditionally, to accept them unconditionally. And that automatically changes this whole inner perspective, this whole inner being. You become non-human. Then I noticed, like when that happened to me, I realized I am no longer human, but in a good way, because I was no longer a person that is separated from its parts, that is conditional, that cannot accept. Even if many parts were still unintegrated, everything changed, because all of them realized that as soon as they choose to come home, I am here to accept them, and I'm here to take that time, to take that space, to accept them. And so that changed my whole perspective from being a victim to being a master. Because even though not everything was integrated, but all of a sudden every part of me knew it, it got the message that yes, I mean business, and if you're ready, I am ready. And that changes everything.
One thing I'd like to share about integrating
Mm,
traumatized children. Usually, they're all children. In the hardest trauma is within more or less the first years, and until teenage years. Well, whatever, whenever integrating trauma, if you can just be the adult who is here now available and see, you see this, imagine it's if you were interacting with an orphan child who has been abused and never received love, what would you do with that child? You would just you would just be there, and what would you want to do? You just want to hold it, and you just want to let that child know that now it's safe and that you're gonna take care, that it's okay now. That's the only thing you'd want to do if you were, you see this child that's so broken, and you just sit there, and of course you know that you can't force your love on that child because it's something so foreign to that child, that the only thing you can do is be there and provide that silence, that stillness that is not frightening, and that so that child can come closer, gradually come closer, and see if they can trust you, and you just stay there, and you're just available, not doing anything harsh, not doing anything, just very still, just very there. And when that child then climbs onto your lap, what do? You just hold it. You don't have to convince it of anything, you don't have to fix it. You just say, oh, okay, just stay here, I'll just love you, it's okay. And that's it. It's a simple shift of perspective, but basically, you're the one who's not running anywhere, who's not going frantic, who's not going into shock, who's not. You just can't afford that anymore. At a certain point of your journey, you can't afford that anymore. It's just staying and being the one that is wisely kind and loving for yourself, for whichever part. It doesn't matter how hurt that part is, how hard it was in that whatever moment in time. You're just here saying, you know what? You can come. I'm here for you. That's
and
it.
and the thing is that before, when you are not, when you are in separation, you can feel that humanists can feel that there are some emotions that are too much to bear, and they were
Yeah.
too much to bear when the consciousness was not present. But with consciousness, if you feel also that is too much to bear, the in that happening when you're integrating, open up more, because normally there is a tendency to close, but
To
open up
close.
even more, because then you can allow more consciousness, more of your soul to be present, more of love to be present. And you find that some things are incredibly intense. Like I remember at night sometimes, like my body would like move, or I would just automatically go into some weird yoga poses, because and my body was shaking, like the energy was so intense that there was vibration when it was releasing. It was quite incredible. And you just I was able just to be with that, because I kept on just opening up, and choosing, yes, I will stay with this. And I found that nothing was overwhelming, nothing killed me. As a matter of fact, it's like the presence of your soul. It oils every part of yourself, so that even if I could accept the most traumatic parts that have really, because your past lives come for experience too, the very traumatic, damaged, war-torn parts, that it didn't actually further wound me. It didn't wound my heart, because there's like this sacred olive oil that all of me was kind of immersed in, that the soul self puts around. So it doesn't wound, even if you feel the most horrific parts of yourself, most traumatic parts of yourself, but they just go through you. Is it intense? Yes. Sometimes you wake up the next morning, I felt like 10 trucks ran over me.
Yeah.
But it was very, very quickly over. Like in that day, even an hour later, all of a sudden it was like, oh, I'm joyful again. I'm alive. It doesn't leave any lasting lasting because you're clearing. But I did have to then learn how to, again, every time, after every huge release, I had to learn how to be in my body, how to be in my life, because it's like you can see on my face, like even, sometimes when I look at my older webinars, sometimes in the old days, I thought, oh no, I should actually delete that because you can see in my face all of this integration. But now I'm thinking, no, people should see that you look awful sometimes. You look like I would wake up in the morning, I look like a scarecrow, like I look in a mirror and I'm, who is this person? Because there's such a full-on integration. But at the same time, it is like, at the same time, you're not just in that darkness, like trauma, you're also in a very exciting place because you are in that end. So at the same time, it can be traumatic, you're integrating those really traumatic parts, but at the same time, you are feeling the new, you are experiencing yourself the new, you are experiencing this acceleration of being free finally, of these patterns that I thought I never would be free, of things I thought I never was going to be able to feel. That exhilaration of being free, of realizing, wow, I can step out of my old story, I can let go of this is okay to let go. And you see other people, centuries and centuries, ancestry after ancestry, when they're stuck in the same story because they don't know how, they don't have the ability to let go. And then you find that, yes, it is possible to let go. You can walk out of these centuries of hatred. You can walk out of the centuries, what it feels like, of guilt, of karma, of you name it. Everything is able to be let go of because, we have played in this earth, in the 3D so deeply. We have experienced awful things, like, we have experienced everything. And so all of these things do come up, but you can face them. You can feel them, and you can let them go, and you can step out of the story. So
Definitely so.
So who's next? Maybe.
So I can share.
Okay.
Thank you, Gregor.
Yeah, because I experienced in these few weeks maybe mainly two things. One thing is that I feel so much grace and beauty and tenderness maybe from within, and it's like a blessing. But on the other hand, there is still this integration process, and there are really some dark parts wanting to integrate. And I agree totally with you that for me, I think it was very challenging to embrace this, I think, the abusive part that was the abuser in one of my lifetime before. And and there are, of course, the opposite parts, the victim and those childs, but it is a process. So I think because of this new injection of this grace and of all of this love and beauty, they are willing to come out, and that's I think quite normal in a way. So the only thing that I need to do is just to stay and to allow it. And sometimes it's challenging, but I know actually what's going on, and that's why it's easier. And,
Be aware, it's much easier.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
When you're aware, it's much easier, obviously, because then you can allow it.
Yeah.
And
So
as we're sharing like this, you also realize that for everyone, we all go through this, you know, and you're not alone in this. And that for me made it much easier as well, makes it
Yeah.
much easier.
And
yeah,
it's always harder, of course, to face the abuser, the
Yeah.
abusive. But of course, if there's victims coming up, there has to be the abuser as well,
yeah,
somewhere along the line, always.
yeah, yeah,
And that will have to come up and will have to be faced. And basically, then once the abuser loses all of that hugeness, because usually it shows up like something scary and so on, again is just wounded and just needing love, just like any other part. Basically, then it all becomes so simple, because it's just the whole love thing. Just be here and love yourself, and love yourself just means all of these pieces, every single one of them, no matter what. And if sometimes it's harder, that's why we provide that kind of support. On my journey, there were moments when there were some lifetimes coming up that I really needed someone to be there, just sitting there, with that compassionate silence, even to provide more of that space, because some things were so hard to acknowledge and so painful, that it's just that presence of that enhances our presence, and then we could laugh about it. And just like to give you an example about laughing about something really gory, there was this lifetime where I was a tribal kind of witch woman, and I hated men. And so what I did was I seduced them, and then I brought them into my sort of my cabin, my lair, and then I killed them, and then I just put them up on sticks, like I hung their heads up on sticks with their dick in their mouth. Imagine the horrible, the horrid thing. And at that moment, like I'm telling you the exact story, so you at that moment when I had this, it was like, but I enjoyed that stuff, it was like, oh my god, it was like so exciting to do that kind of stuff. It just gave me so much power, and I was in control, and I was just killing all of these guys and doing all of that stuff. And then it becomes just one more story once you are able to acknowledge, those huge things that are unacceptable, and then we could laugh about it. It's like, whoa, now that was really a
That was a big
full-on
experience.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, oh wow, then it looks ridiculous, even after you can see it from a point where you're no longer judging it, where you're no longer feeling guilty, where you're no longer feeling that hatred, all of those things, all of that anger and all of that. Then you can look at it and it looks like a comedy thing, like terror mixed with comedy, all in the same thing. And it's like, oh gosh, really, this earth is amazing. It provides
It
everything,
does, yeah.
and so a way, sometimes we do need that support, sometimes we don't, but you have to also allow yourself to feel, if you need support, ask for it. And it's not that the other person is going to do it for you, it's just that it provides that lightness that makes it much easier sometimes. Because with these abuser parts,
Yeah.
gosh, it can be really,
Full
really
on.
interesting,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Yeah. And they're very most uncomfortable to feel, and to even realize, like for me, when I was realizing what a drama queen I was, and also like when I saw myself a victim, and then I saw myself as an abuser, not only in other lifetimes but in this life.
In
You
this
know,
one, yeah.
there are these kind of shocking times when you're, oh my God, is it really me? But it's incredibly freeing, because then you do become humorous, you own it, you release it. And once you own it and release it, even if it felt awful to acknowledge, you then create space within yourself, and then you have a choice. But otherwise they completely control you, and they keep creating your life, so you keep then having you know, those kind of relationships with your life. So the only way to freedom is through you. And also, like when you shared, you know, your witch experience, I had huge amount of warriors come home to me.
Yeah. Oh
So,
boy.
oh my gosh, like wounded warriors. Imagine all those, you know, army guys that just have left the most horrific wars and coming home, and how they are completely closed to love. So these are the parts that were coming back home to me, and they were wounded and without legs and without limbs, and some were just war after war, because and it was also beautiful because it was incredible. They experienced incredible camaraderie with other, you know, all of those incredible experiences that warriors have at war, because they experience this brotherhood, they experience this. And then also to be on the side of the army that then when they come home becomes the bad guy. So all of these parts from past lifetimes, completely loveless, completely caught into their box of just, you know, they haven't experienced gentleness, they haven't experienced family, they haven't experienced any of these things. So for many people, and I feel that you have probably a number of those parts that will come home to you as well. And all of the things that we've discussed is all about being in that space and creating that space, you know, to be able to allow these parts to come home. But don't be surprised if you do get a lot of very, very wounded warriors from both sides of the army that will come home to you, and they are very they haven't experienced love, and like Tanya beautifully shared before, just use those kind of processes. And I found that, you know, like I was in my journey, I would get you know, help by others by their example of the processes. But when you are with your own self, you develop your own way of doing things, and you develop your own way of being. And it's just always just helps to spend that time by yourself when you wake up, like when Doris so beautifully shared. You wake up and first thing you do, you breathe, you set the tone for the day, create that openness, and then just be open to whatever happens within that day. And really, the more things come home, the more you are quickened, you know, in this integration, the more quicker you will be whole. But it never will be too much. So the soul knows, your wise part of yourself knows how to you're always safe. It knows how to, you know, set the timing so that perfect things happen. But a lot of things also happen that you wouldn't think would happen. So that's why it's really important to have the day opened, because you in your mind can't imagine how parts of yourself will integrate, or what story will be created temporarily within your life to assist that integration. And you may visit old places where you've been before, or sometimes people from your, you know, from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, all of a sudden they give you a call, or they come back into your life, maybe for good, maybe temporarily, because you are closing all these stories, you are integrating all these stories back home into yourself, into your wholeness. So congratulations, because you have chosen, I can feel it as well, you have chosen to just stay with it, just like Angela. All of us, actually, all of us here have chosen
Be
to
the
stay
master.
with it.
You are the
That's right.
master, and that's
Yeah,
the whole thing. Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. In here, in these kind of, you know, circles, because we're touching into very deep things, like what we're talking about today. You can't go any deeper than what we're talking about today. And you wouldn't be here if you weren't ready, if you haven't made a choice. Because what each one of you are sharing, each one of you is high mastery. It's not something that, you know, even though sometimes when we are in these depths of integration, our mind can tell us, or humanness can tell us, oh my God, but if I was a master, I wouldn't be feeling like this. No, you are feeling like this because you are a master. You are feeling like this because you are creating the space, because you are allowing love, because you are creating space for all these parts, all these loveless parts to come back home. That is why you're feeling this. It is not a failure. It is not a mistake. It is because you have made the choice. That is why you're here and you're experiencing this.
You're experiencing your victorious path.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Oh, that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And it comes with everything included.
Yeah.
All inclusive.
All inclusive.
All inclusive for Gregor.
You paid the full ticket.
That's it.
I always
We
I
have
always wanted luxury, you know, all inclusive.
Yeah, there
Yes.
you are.
Oh, Gregor, we'll create it, but wait until we are in Slovenia. We'll create it.
And look who the company that you keep. You have James Bond as your close personal friend. I mean, you know.
And there are many more companies coming up. I'm just creating it.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Wait for 2022. It's my year.
So, does anyone else want to share something?
Yeah, maybe I could
Okay.
add something that was really important for me. For example, I had really a lot of beliefs as a human, what mastery really should look like, and you know, about this all inclusive stuff, but I had some other perceptions as a human about this, you know. And for me it was really the tough one, and here I would really like to point out how precious all our sharings are, because sometimes you just need to hear, but it's really just a reminder of you from another one, that it comes to you as a enlightened reflection of yourself, I would say, about certain situation or whatever. For example, for me, it was really quite difficult for when I say for me, this is not actually for me, but for my human part. I mean, whenever I'm aware that I'm not just a human, but much beyond this, it's really easy. It's you know, when I'm aware of my vastness, it's really everything very easy. But when I'm not, then it's difficult. And for example, in one of such moments, or it was not just a moment but a period, was the fact that I like lost everything. For example, I had beautiful house, and so on, and I just, you know, have to hear from someone else, and this was Katie Bauman, who had a similar experience, that, you know, it's really not a big deal. I mean, it's I even cannot describe it, but I just felt it, and it's like, you know, from then on, for me, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm a master. This is just an experience, and I created for myself, and it's like, okay, what's next? I can transmute this. And it was the same, for example, with vaccination. This was really helpful when you two had, it was actually in previous show. What's the title of this show?
Living in the flow. No, what?
Yes, living in the
flow.
flow. No,
Yeah.
no,
It
living
was
in the
love.
flow. Yes.
Yeah.
The theme was love last time.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, it's really just like this, you know. Okay, what's next? I can do whatever it comes, you know, and it's nothing wrong, and it's, you cannot make a mistake, and yeah, it's all here for me to serve me, whatever comes, you know, and it's yeah.
And you know, because we don't realize when we come on this, when we say yes to this journey, or rather, you know, whether it doesn't matter whether it's the soul self that decides, we what we don't realize as a human is that it means the complete breakdown of the old value system. So for a human self that was separated from the soul, where it took value or self-importance or self-worth, is with often with things, with the culture supports those kind of things. So all people judge you based on those kind of things. So when you are in those kind of feeding patterns, this is what we follow. We put our identity on things, on houses, on car. We get our status and who we are, our whole identity we get from those kind of things. So what happens on this journey, all of these kind of old attachments to the unreal stuff break down. And each one of us actually experiences to the depth of our depths, to the depth of our heart, because that thing that we held most precious in the time of separation gets taken away, or it feels like it's been taken away for the reason of, so that we can redirect that part and it can then drink from the well of the soul self, all of the well of the, you know, who you are, all of the self-worth, all of the self-love. And then once that happens, you will realize that not only that those things weren't important, that weren't you. And during that process, so much happens, because not only that you can become tough as nails, you're not tough as nails for nothing, because we go through these kind of experiences and we realize it doesn't kill us, you know, but it also means that you can then stand on your feet because of who you are really, rather than because of things. And then those things, you can then create them, recreate them even much more, or even in a different way, because you realize yourself then who you really are. And then even those houses and cars and professions and jobs and partners, whatever, they weren't really, they're not anymore a reflection of who you are. And then you realize, wow, that was the best thing that happened. But while it's happening, it's extremely scary. It touches your survival. It touches on who you are. It touches the most deepest parts of who you thought you were. And then until it all opens up, because all of that breaks down, and then you realize, oh my God, I am deep to the end of the universe and beyond, you see, because then you allow yourself to float then into your deeper parts of yourself. And from then you can then recreate a different kind of life that now serves you in a different way. But at the same time, now you know who you are, so you don't need those kind of outside things to give you value. But because you are a master, you can then choose whatever you want. So you may even still get the same house or better house or whatever, because you choose to, not because your identity depends on that house. See, so but when you actually go through that process, it feels like your whole world is breaking down. You can feel like you're a victim. You can feel you know, all these rage starts to happen for a human that feels rage towards the soul, because it's the soul comes closer, the more it feels like everything is taken away that you felt. And then you go, why I love this, you know, and then you hold on as a human, you hold on to everything, and then it hurts even more, because into this new life, we can't take anything of the old. And that doesn't mean in a way that, oh, so that means in a new life, I can't take a house, I can't have a house. No, it's how you relate to that house. You can't take that. You see how you relate. So when we are losing things, or it feels like we are losing everything, whatever it is that we're the most attached to, that is preventing us from attaching or allowing our greater self, it's not the them that we are losing. So it could be a person, it could be a partner, it could be, for some people, someone dies, but it's not that we're really losing that. It's just that we have to re-relate to everything. Once you relate to that in a new free way, then you can have everything, you see, because it's not the thing that is the problem, is how you are connected to it. And so, yeah, it's by all means not an easy time to go and allow yourself to feel the tears, to feel the grief, to feel the sadness, to feel the rage, to feel the anger, because your soul self can accept compassionately and unconditionally. Actually, it welcomes your rawness, your nakedness, your realness, that you allow yourself to feel exactly what you feel in that moment. So don't hide your feelings and emotions, feel all of these things, and you will see, like, the presence of the soul. It's like this balm. It puts this balm and healing, and it's like you're repairing this ancient wounds, that feel like wounds, and you're repairing your broken heart, and all of these things that get uncovered because we've covered them with those attachments. And so each and this is the thing, the more you try to hold on, the more painful it is. The less you hold on, then you realize in many ways that you don't even lose anything. You don't have to lose your house, if you are able to. So that's for the future, if you are able to resolve this, reorient yourself, then you don't have to lose anything. And also there's another thing in this that I found, is that there is a huge change of how you are in the world, and that's for all of us. So for example, before, for me, job was very important to me, and it felt like I was, it was important to me for survival. And so my jobs went, and all of a sudden I found, I realized that I needed time to integrate. But how am I gonna provide for myself, because I didn't have anyone to support me. Like, what I earned is what I had, basically. And so not only that, that was pretty much gone, but all of a sudden I had to find myself within this space where I didn't go regularly to job. So I was then at home for 3 years. And while I was regularly in the job, then I realized, wow, I didn't have any time. And then when I was without a job, all of a sudden I found what a free way it is to live. I found new ways for income, and I realized how much I did have, that what I thought before was just this survival fear that the mass consciousness was putting on me, you see. So I was caught in this whole game that wasn't real. And also for each one of us, we do have to find a way for abundance, money abundance, to flow to us, so that we are free, so that we are masters, so that we have the freedom for the creativity. So it's a whole new journey that I embarked on. Then I had to create my own business, and I had to create this, and I had to find ways for, like, I found all these ingenious things as to how I can flow the so I can pay the bills, and so I can keep my things and stuff that is necessary for each one, because each one of us need to step out of those societal ways of how we live in this world, and find a way, create a way as a master to live, so that we can be free, so that we can experience our creativity, and so that we can be in the heart. Because if you keep depending on the society as it is for your income, then you have to keep forgetting yourself. You have to keep fitting yourself into that system, which means that you have to keep letting, not come back to yourself, but keep how can I say, abandoning yourself so that you can fit in with that system, because otherwise you can't really have a job, you see. So there are a couple of different things, and there are a few different themes that I found that had to do with my house, with my with my things, and they do resolve, but they were extremely stressful for a while and scary. And for 3 months I had full-on panic attacks because that survival fear in me was so strong, and I had to then just breathe. And I think at that time I used one of the recordings from Norma on gratitude. So I would wake up every half an hour in this horrible fear and panic attack, and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't sleep full night for 3 months because I kept on waking up, and I just had to keep, feel gratitude, feel gratitude, feel gratitude, feel gratitude, until I was able to breathe through that wall of fear. And then once I breathed through that wall of fear, all of a sudden, then all these new potentials happened. And all of a sudden I could see, wow, if I do this, I can do it this way, or maybe I can just have a part-time job. All of a sudden, so many different options become available to you. And all of a sudden I discovered new talents, and all of a sudden I discovered that I have guts to actually go for that interview, or say no there, or choose a better paying something so that I can just work 3 days a week or something, So there are so many things within that space that have to change. And so it's not comfortable, but be assured that it is part of this journey. It is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's right now quite the opposite. I mean, it's like I said last time to Tanya, it's like my mind keep reminding me, oh, you should be scared, you should be, in panic or something, but I'm really not. I mean, it's like, okay, all, because I know that all works out, and I'm I'm a master, and I yeah, it's like, of course, with all those support and all those breathing sessions with Tanya, and that, and my issue at the moment is like, oh my God, you should listen to the mind, but then I'm not listening to it, and oh, you are such a weirdo.
That's so funny.
Yes,
Fabulous.
it's like, because it's not usual, it's not something that I'm used to, and it's like, oh,
oh, this is
I'm
so different. I'm a master.
Yes.
Great experience.
But it's so freeing, it's it's
Thank you, Matea, for sharing that.
Thank you.
Big shift, huge shift. Wow. I'd love to. My joy is also watching these changes happen in each one, and they're so amazing. I mean, watching miracles every single day. Oh gosh, it's wonderful. I love it.
And when someone feels that soul for the first time, it's just, oh my God, it's incredible.
It's such a joy. It's so beautiful, and it's really what could one want even more than to watch these beautiful things, to be part of these experiences.
Yeah, I find it too. It's so beautiful to share with all of you.
So, do we say José?
Yes. You can say José, or in It's
Joseph.
actually from Josephina, but in the Netherlands,
Ah, ah.
yes. But in the Netherlands,
Ah,
it's yes.
you've
In the
tricked
Netherlands,
us.
but in the Netherlands, it's really common for to say Jose. Yes.
Okay. So
I
you
know all
wanted
over
to
the
share
world. Yeah, but I know all over the world, it's most of the time and
a
the
man.
name or man. Yes, but I'm used to that.
For me too,
So.
like I used to be Alex, but when I used to sign my photographs, people would think I was a male, and so that's why I'm Alexis. But still, sometimes they think I'm a male, and then I say, yeah, I'm integrated male and female, so whatever.
Whatever.
Exactly. We don't have this name for nothing, I think so.
Yes.
It's integrated already when we came.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But you talk about magic and things happening during this this conversation, and even today for me, actually, in the last few weeks, or even if I look back for the last years, I feel like changing every day more and more, and being able, especially when you do the breathing every day, feeling integration of the love for self. And sometimes it comes in like with waves, the love for self. And even like this week, I was talking with someone and I felt this wave of love coming in, and then being in the ends, that's so beautiful. That's like a huge gift. And actually for today, I was had a meeting with a friend, and she said, it doesn't feel right to go to, we were planning to go to Utrecht to lunch and shopping. And then this morning was sitting on my couch and I was actually thinking about, maybe I should, because I have the holidays now, I was like, maybe I should look into it and see if Tanya has uh, something coming up. And then on Facebook, I was looking at Facebook, I saw the invite for the living in the flow. I was like, oh, that sounds nice. And then I I attended that, and now I'm attending this. So it's like a huge gift. It's just the energy is flowing. I'm just actually very grateful and surprised to be here today. So it's a great joy to be here, actually.
Thank
So.
you for joining us with your precious presence, because it adds to the whole thing. Like Alexis was saying, whenever she wanted to attend, and you didn't even want to, it's like consciously,
No.
but there was a part of you that was available for something different. Okay, instead of going shopping, let's go and do living in the
Yeah.
flow thing.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
so beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a
That's
beautiful gift.
something else.
And that's when energy starts serving you. I start noticing when I start working with like energy serving you, using that consciously, that things are shifting. Still challenging thing now and then, because it's not that always like that I understand or want to go in that flow, but I start more and more accepting that. Like a few weeks back, my car had to be fixed, and it was like there was something not very good, and that should be fixed. And I was like, that's a lot of money. But on the other hand, I was thinking, no, go with the flow. When it becomes broken when you drive, then I would have a huge problem maybe on the highway. So actually, at the end of the day, I could accept the energy was serving me. But going with that energy, with that flow in everyday life, it's the more I go into it, the more love comes in. It's so beautiful what's happening once you go into this energy for yourself and let that magic come to you. Especially around these days of the year with the holidays and Christmas coming up and the lights, and you feel that energy more and more coming in even this year. And if, for example, when I look to the television, and I still look like now and then to how like the news, and I see people talking in the mass consciousness way. Earlier, sorry, I forgot your name. You were talking about COVID and the vaccination, and
Angela.
and yes, exactly. and and I was like, even yesterday, I was thinking about the vaccination, because in the Netherlands they also making program for that you get it and you get the booster as fast as possible. But I was like, actually, if you really think about vaccination, then it is vaccination that when you want to take it, it means actually you have fear that your body cannot handle it at the end of the day. So we don't, I had, especially if I have took my vaccination, but I had this, I don't have that fear, so why should I take it? At the end of the day, I have now the QR code and I can go everywhere I want. So that's the benefit when energy is serving you. It's going beyond what mass consciousness is thinking and doing with things like this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a little bit what I like to share.
Thank
So
you for sharing.
yes, so yeah, I hope you all feel that joy and love from these holidays coming up. So yes.
Thank you. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Does anyone else want to share
Hello.
anything?
Me.
Hello, Primož.
One-
Oh, Matea now. Okay.
One funny. Oh, now it's one funny story. I have also this COVID. How do you say? Cold.
Illness.
Yeah.
Cold.
Yeah. Because I have COVID 1 month ago, and go and also in hospital. It's actually for me this big transformation because I'm a new person now. I'm very different. And my question is, my mind last day non-stop tell me go in this old way. Do you understand me? What?
Oh, I didn't get your question, Primož.
Because the line went in and out, so we couldn't.
Yeah. This.
Ne, Primož, niso te razumeli, ker je
nisem
prekinjal.
razumel.
Če lahko še enkrat vprašanje.
Aha. My question
I'm
is,
just translating.
my mind is last days non-stop tell me, you go in the old way, no. Sam zanima me, kaj ne naredim, no.
Well, jaz bi kar ostala s tem. Okay, so I'm talking in Slovenian.
Yeah.
Great.
You speak English. No problem.
Speak English. Jaz bi kar ostala v tem prostoru. Veste, lahko tikam. Ja, v redu. Mislim, to je čisto prav, zato ker v bistvu je ta mind že prej to govorila, ampak zdaj v bistvu opaziš, kaj se dogaja. Zato ker če si prišel you came into a completely new part of yourself, and then your mind is still trying to tell you that you're still old. So you said you are a very different person, and this is your truth, but your mind is channeling mass consciousness to you. So it is still channeling the old. So if you are saying you're feeling yourself a completely different new person, this is your truth. So this is where we were talking about that you stay completely uncompromising with what is your truth. So your truth is that you feel yourself that this was beneficial to you, what happened, and that you have experienced transformation. And now you've noticed what your mind, because your mind would be saying that before as well, but because you are now different, you have transformed yourself, you now notice what your mind is saying. And so what it just means is just that you claim your truth, because the thing is that mind will always channel, and this is in ways good thing, because that's why we can still stay here and be part of humanity, because you can always channel mass consciousness, but you don't make it your identity. You see, your truth is what you identify with. So you said, I am new, I have transformed, this is my truth. And then when the mind says something different, you say, nope, that is not me, that is not my truth. And you just let it float, you see, because your mind, you are not enslaved or bound or in contract with your mind anymore, that you have to believe what it says, because it picks up all the signals from mass consciousness. It will continue to try to channel and move, like you are now standing in the throne of your own self. So you are master in yourself, and you're saying, I have transformed, I feel great. And then it will keep trying to channel from mass consciousness. No, you're not, this is more important, no, this is blah blah blah. You see all of these things, and we all experience that. So now you have that choice. Do you stand by your truth? Do you stand as your truth? You be as your truth. And we keep having to do this because the mass consciousness will constantly try to convince us of something else. But you have stated your truth, and that is your truth, and you choose it. And it doesn't matter what anyone else says, and it doesn't matter what your mind says, and it doesn't matter what the unintegrated aspects say, what the wounded aspects say. Your truth is this, you choose it, and that's that. There is nothing more to say. And the rest, you can just let them flow by. You don't have to be mean or anything. You're just in your kindness, in your compassion, and in your love, but you are completely and utterly determined that this is your truth. And like when we keep saying, sometimes you have to come back every 2 minutes until it becomes a habit, that what you perceive, what you feel, what you claim is your truth. You see, because when you open yourself up more and more to your soul, all of these things that are so fine, they're so gentle, they're so like mist, come, and to be able to allow them in, and to be able for that then to be your truth. You see, you will have all this harshness from outside that will try to knock it away, but you have to just keep allowing, because you see, and that is why masters of the old chose to leave straight away, to ascend, because then they can allow all these gentle things to be their truth, and not having to continually have this harshness of mass consciousness that comes through the mind to knock it down. And you will find that as you do that, your mind starts relaxing, and it becomes much more aligned with who you now are. And it then starts working, because it gets respect for you, because you keep choosing your truth, and it starts working and serving you rather than trying to be your master. And the way it was your master, because it was telling you the truth that it believed that is your truth, you see. But now you feel your truth, you have transformed, that is your truth, and you're saying to your mind, no more mass consciousness, boss. I say no more. And that takes a while. So the only thing that you really need to do, it's quite very simple. So the only thing that you really need to do in those moments is just to say no, and don't believe that. And you keep coming back to this feeling. How did you feel when you felt that you were transformed, that you got changed? It's a wonderful feeling. So you keep coming into your body, into that feeling, and you just let all these other things just to float by, and they will always raise up, because the more you allow the truth, the more you notice things, the more you notice what the mass consciousness is saying. It's like you get this ability to read other people's minds, because they're not actually saying anything new. They're just picking up. It's like these radio signals all around, and the mind just picks it up and it tells you its truth. And you just have to keep disconnecting, you see, because then it becomes your choice. Then you become the master, because you choose what is your reality. See, and this is, you're absolutely in the right place with this, because you have noticed what is going on, and now you just keep coming back to this space that you choose is your truth.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hvala tu tebi.
Enako.
anyone else want to share this?
Well,
Just
I didn't share
Annegret,
yet.
it's only you.
Yeah. So I waited too long.
No, 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 no,
No,
no,
no,
no.
no, no. Yeah, I want to share a bit what I experienced these weeks. It's yeah, I never before felt the love and presence of myself this intense. So it's just a few weeks ago that I came home to myself, and
Mm.
I'm in yeah in such a deep joy and very new state of being, and there's so much I explore now and experience in a very new way. And well, something happened just only a week after it. Yeah, I noticed while I came home to myself, I started having severe pain, and it's still going on. So I felt, wow, what's going on here? That's not what I expected. And but then with time and taking, yeah, breathing with it, I felt what really, what a gift it is for me. And I can look at so many things. I like there was a very big aspect I always felt when something happened to my body. I did something wrong, and I did I had failures or something like that. And so now I feel, no, there's I can be with this pain and I can do a lot about it. And actually I feel, although it's annoying, but it's running through my whole body, and it's like it's opening so much more senses. It's really that I'm amazed by what it is doing and what I'm feeling and experiencing with this pain, and it slows me down completely. And it's so necessary, because I felt such a joy that I felt, oh, now I can flow over and I want to do so much. And but no, it's first time, yeah, being with myself and being alone. And yeah, so
Wow.
that's
Mm.
it's really amazing, and I'm, yeah, so deeply touched and grateful for this yeah, very new state of being.
Just such huge transformations in these last few months for
Yeah,
so many
they're
people.
happening so much.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
just this quickening
Beautiful.
happening. And oh wow, like I must say, I didn't expect our sharings to be so deep, and each one of us, what a joy and gift it's been.
A gift, yeah, a big gift. I'd like to just share something around the vaccine. It's like, for instance, I chose not to take it, and it's not because I'm afraid of it in any way. It's just simply because I don't need it, and it doesn't make any difference in my particular life. So each one will be sovereign to make their own choices and not have to be against a position or for a position. Each one is wherever they choose to be within whatever is available and provided. So we would compassion is also not jumping to conclusions and making set judgment around those who, for instance, choose to be vaccinated and those who don't choose to, and etc., what they might be thinking or feeling or whatever, because each one is in their own reality. And as I said, in my reality, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So I am absolutely free anyway, because the way I live my life provides that freedom. So it is, and also I am so honored and respectful for all of those who do choose to take the vaccine, because it doesn't make a difference. I mean, you take it or you don't take it, it's not about that. It's
Yeah.
about where you are at within you. But really, basically, us being able to not even have to consider whether this is right or wrong, or these people are afraid or those aren't, or whatever. It's just be wherever you choose to be for your life, what serves you. And that is a great freedom. That is a great gift, to not have to look at the whole situation that's going on in the world and take sides and be on the side of who's on this position, on the side of who's on that, and just be so open that whatever then is coming into your life is provided, the situations, the conditions, whatever serves you in your reality will be there in whichever way serves you best 100% of the time. And there's such a level of freedom in that kind of acceptance that then there are no people who are excluded from your life. Then you can be in compassion and joy, and choose and share that freedom with whoever, wherever, whatever. Then you're no longer sort of again making sections. So at this time, really, it's such a big invitation, as you were saying, like there's so many people opening to that feeling, their presence, to being. And that's the big deal right now. That's the really big deal that is going on. And I
Yeah.
was listening to William Linville, Kathy usually speaks about him a lot. So William is a walk-in, and so he was sharing in a conversation he was having the other day. The lady Karen, who was having this conversation with him, asked him, so when can we expect to really feel a big shift, and that we will be able to use less words and communicate more telepathically? And he was like, oh, 2031, 20, and then from 2026, 2028, things will really be much more open. And we're like, already. And so basically it's already done. I mean,
It's already,
the
yeah.
critical mass has already been achieved. We are already where we wanted to be. So now it's just go for it fully. Whatever is there for you, just grab it and hold it and embrace it fully, because we're already where we wanted to be. Like
And when you
the
are
sense
allowed,
of that
yeah,
transformation of the availability of
yeah,
self, of
yeah,
isness, of essence, it's
yeah.
here. It's right here.
Exactly. And when you are allow your soul, then you're on your own time. You're on your own time. You separate from the rest. And at the
From
same
everything.
time, you can actually utilize what is going on. And that's what like what Tanya shared. I feel as well, there's a big window from 21st of December to February to really allow and step into your own world. But it is again like what we are doing. It's what each of us is doing, allowing these changes, allowing the presence, allowing coming back to self. That is it. That is the new earth. There is nothing else outside,
Yeah, it's right here.
and it's absolutely, and it's happening. And also like what Tanya shared, just to add a bit, I have actually taken the vaccination. So I've taken 2 Pfizer, just as to show that, and for me it was my intuition said, yes, go for it. And it actually saved me a lot of, because in where I live, there is an issue. So I don't have to, I avoid a lot of things. I didn't know at the time why I was, asked, okay, go and do it. I just, okay, yep, no problem. I'll go and do it. Straight away, I felt myself out of all these discussions. I just did it. I didn't have any bad results. And all of a sudden, then after all of these restrictions for unvaccinated happened, but I have no effect. So you see, this is what happens when, for your own individual thing, you will be guided, because as a
You will
soul
feel
self,
it.
exactly,
If
you
you
have
do
the
it, you
big
do it,
picture.
and it's
Yeah,
fine. No
no,
worries, no problem.
yeah,
If you don't, you don't, and it's fine. I mean,
that's
it's
right.
your
Yeah,
own picture,
yeah.
your own reality.
And when you don't do it, you know, you can say, yeah, I don't need it because I feel well, you know, I don't need it. And at the same time, there is another point of view. Even if I do get vaccination, they don't affect me because I can transform
Of course.
absolutely
No
anything.
issue
You see, so
whatsoever.
you have, if for reasons within your society, you see, this is what we do as masters. Because we are here, we make things very easy for ourselves and nothing affects us. So if you have
Simple.
vaccine, it doesn't affect you. If you don't have vaccine, it doesn't affect you. If your situation is like that, it makes absolutely, because you're a master. So there's no need to even and there's no need to convince anybody else, because because they
not at all.
because they will do that. Everyone has opinion, and they have to do what they are guided to do, their story, and just to sit back and just let all this craziness to play out. That's an interesting thing as well, and to be on your own timeline, really, because when you're feeling the soul, as each one of us are, to that extent, you are outside of that mass consciousness, but it'll keep trying to seduce you back into it. So you just keep coming back to yourself, no matter what that mass consciousness says, no matter what the doubt says, no matter what it tells. Your truth is yourself, and you keep coming back to your
100%.
truth, and
you
that
don't
is
need
all
to
you
argue
need.
with anyone, but no one will come into your way, into your there won't be any space for that anyway. Whatever choice you make, it will serve you perfectly. Whatever choice you feel is for you is yours, and that your reality will serve that 100%. No worries whatsoever.
And we've got a baby. And we've got a baby. Hello, baby.
Sophia.
Sophia. And wisdom. Sophia means wisdom, doesn't it?
Yes.
Wow, beautiful.
She's been experiencing the breath since she was in my belly.
Oh, wow. So she's a pro.
She's been there all nice and quiet, no crying, nothing, all just having fun.
She's like, I'm just radiating.
You guys see how it's done?
See how it's done? Not even a word.
And she does.
Look at her.
She has a big smile now.
Hi, Sophia.
She's the master now.
Yes. So I think it's time to wrap up. I think we've completed our journey today. It's been such thank you each one. Thank you to participate and to co-create. And what a great gift, to me, to Tanya, for the Christmas and the New Year. And for me, I wish each one of you just dive in. And I wish that for myself as well.
Yeah, exactly. For each and every single one.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that
for your
diving
precious gift
from your own presence.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, and the trust and the wisdom that you've shared with each one of us here. Yeah. Because we each are so enriched by each one of us wisdoms from everyone.
And when we switch off, if you can just allow yourself to feel all of this sinking in, it will literally, it's like fairy dust settling on all of your cells. Just allow yourself to receive this that you have created for you, that you have provided for yourself, which is such a beautiful gift. It's really, then it just like showers like fairy dust.
And if you need some tech help, ask James Bond and
James Bond is here. Tanya, I put it in a bottle with air and
Okay, and you send it out to everyone.
and Gregor got the one with luxury.
Yeah, you get
Gregor,
the
you get your
luxury
one
one.
with the bottle with luxury. Is that okay
Yes.
for 2022?
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
Fala.
you.
Thank
Fa-
Happy
you.
Fala.
holidays. Bye bye.
Hvala,
Thank you,
Sudario.
Fala,
Happy
Fala.
Thank you.
days.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Mwah.
you.
Thank
All
you.
the best.
Thank you.
All the best.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.